Welcome to the Vibrant Living Network. Have you ever wondered what is possible beyond possible? What is the thing you've been wondering and inquiring about? Are you just feeling stuck and don't know why? Are you thinking or are you seeing? Seeing allows us to expand and have this other experience. We want to invite you for that wake-up call. We want to invite your spirit, your soul, so to be more alive, more connected. Glenn Brooks has been a life coach for over 33 years, author of Divorced to Patterns, Not Each Other, an explorer of what is possible. He has worked with people all around the world. Join us for a wake-up conversation, a dialogue with you. We will have some of the most interesting contributors. We will be talking to some of the most interesting people and have some of the most resourceful teachers, wisdom-filled people from around the world join us. Share your voice, ask the questions, become free of the known into a new world of possibility. We are going to talk about all the things you wonder about: how to live, how to heal, how to connect, how to love, how to be seen. Your life is precious. Enjoy it.
Welcome. I'm Glenn Brooks. You're listening to the Vibrant Living Network, dedicated to have you become more vibrant. And today I want to welcome Vishen from Mind Valley today. He's with us. In spirit, I can feel Vishen right now. Let me welcome the Vibrant Living team, and then I want to dive into your faith being your fortune and what lies beyond your linear thinking. That's what I want to explore with you today. And then when I actually want to share some reality bending stories, or as I like to say, reality bending stories. I'm sorry, relational reality bending. So let's welcome the Vibrant Living team members. They're all in their dressing room right now, and I'll let them each organically say hello to you in any given intuitive order. You think I could do it that way? Who wants to say hello to our wonderful audience?
Aloha.
Hello.
From Hawaii.
Hello, everybody. At once.
Did I set that up that way?
That was perfect.
Yeah.
Yes. Be vibrant. Good morning. Good afternoon. Aloha. Yes. We're ready for a vibrant day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dr. Gail Randall.
We're all here with you. We're all here. Go.
Welcome. Thank you. Welcome, Dr. Gail Randall. Lisa is in Canada working with her aunt as we speak, so she won't be with us. She's been with us in consciousness and spirit, and she's in Canada. She won't be joining us today. Eric Morris is on the way to a big non-acting workshop. Or as he likes to say, is no more acting, please. No more acting, please. I love that.
Yeah.
All right, I wanted to start with a reality bend, and I want to say that for I've been coaching 38 years. Even I know it says 30 years. I've been coaching over 38 years, but very different than what's out there. So I want to share with you the first reality bend that I had, and I had many. Which reality bend should I go to? So what's reality bending? Reality bending, as Mind Valley describes it, and as I describe it, is first of all removing the obstacles so you could experience reality bending. So what is reality bending, or as I like to call it, relational reality bending? It's a moment where someone's brain and you're in sync with someone in a way that's unexplainable sometimes to both of you. It's unexplainable to both of you. And sometimes you can explain it, but sometimes you cannot. So sometimes it's a vertical leap beyond linear thinking. Now, the first time I read a story around this, a good chunk of my life, I couldn't get my handle on certain things. Like there's a chapter in my book which I recommend you read. I'll have a book sent to you. It's in its second edit. It's called "They Run Through the Hills," because I realized that some people would run for the hills when they met me, and other people would sometimes give me their apartment keys and say, "Stay here anytime you want." And I thought, how could it be that people have this different response? So I was sitting once with the superintendent of schools in Vermont, and she had a camp called Heartbend. And she had children would go, and she really just thought the camp was really about playing and blossoming intelligence. And she said, well, you're one of the smartest people I've met. She goes, but no one's ever given you that feedback. I said, no, going by school, I'd be one of the stupidest people you've ever met. So I started to realize that linear thinking is a very small way to describe something, and it doesn't seem to address things at this deeper level. So one of the first stories I read was a story about this guy. He's on the way to this job interview, the biggest job interview of his life, right? Biggest job interview of his life. He had to wait a year to get this interview. I read this in a book called TNT because I already had this experience before I read it, but reading it was a confirmation. So reality bending is the sense there's a different reality than most people agree to. Like as an example, if you spoke to most people, there's a good chance a lot of what they're about is struggle, survival. And by the way, thinking that's the firm reality. The firm reality is we have to struggle. We got to go to survival. The things certain things are non-negotiable. You have to pay your taxes. You have to. The world's leading sports psychologist said to me many times that as soon as athletes say they have to, it diminishes their performance and their sense of flow. It pulls down the performance. So actually just stop at saying have to. I know it seems like a small thing. Shifts your whole experience of what people call reality. So the first thing I want to play with is, what is this thing called reality? And can we bend it? Can we be relational with it? Can we experience trust and harmony immediately? So anyway, this guy's on the train to his job interview, and as he's on the train, he sees this one fall down the staircase. It's Penn Station. He sees the one fall down the staircase. He gets out. I said a few weeks ago that life definitely is not fair, but don't worry about it. Doesn't matter. Life's definitely not fair, but it's incredibly wonderful, right? So he goes to help this woman, and she fell down, and then her bag had ripped, and he spent this time with her. But he felt really good. He was in tune with it. He was in tune with the infinite with it. But, of course, the other reality, right, the linear reality is like he's incredibly late for his job. So in this pause when he helped her, before he left her, she had given him a piece of a ball of like a tissue with something in it. He goes to the office. This is the part where life's not fair. This is what this is the interesting thing when we get into the your faith is your fortune. So anyway, he goes to this office. He's late. They don't give him a chance to say what happened. They just say, never come back. I've had that one in my life. Never come back. So he doesn't come back, and he goes home, and he's got this really wonderful wife. She's really in tune with him. And she cares about the context. She cares about the experience he had with the woman. And so she says, well, we have each other, and we have this bigger life that's unknown. And what happens is this is back in the 50s, and they run the TV news, and he opens the piece of paper she gives him, the street woman, and he has the winning lottery ticket. They won $1 million that night. So I kind of read that, and I thought, oh, there's something else going on that it's hard to put our finger on that's there. 2 days ago, I go to my chiropractor, Dr. Wolder, and I just love this guy. I don't know why I love him so much, but I go to see him. And so the first time I see him, my question to him is, could a chiropractic adjustment change my eyesight? Because I was having this huge health scare, and I had the miracle of meeting Dr. Gail Randall. So he says, I don't know about that, but it's funny you should mention that, because he told me that a month before, something happened. He goes to the eye doctor locally in my area, Amherst, and the eye doctor says to him he could have a stroke within 24 hours. So he does the thing a lot of people do. He heads to a major marketplace to see a retina therapist. And it's funny. Now, he says to me, he goes, oh, funny enough, he goes, the retina therapist is just like you. He only met me one time. And he goes, he's loud. He sings very loud songs. He's the opposite of all the other doctors. And I go, huh. And he goes, he's kind of like you. And I was like, wow, that's kind of he's not running for the hills today. And he goes, as soon as he sat in the room, I knew I would heal. And he goes, yeah. He goes, what happened is there's a boulder behind your artery in your eye. And he goes, I could see why they're saying that. He goes, let me check with you next week. Now, over this month, and he referred to it as lucky, this is a reality bend. I want you guys to pay attention. So this guy walks in the doctor, and the doctor agrees on some level this guy's going to heal, and he knows it. He can't describe it. He can't put it into words. It's not linear, but he knows he's going to heal. Now, within a month, the boulder behind his artery in his eye goes into little stones, and all the little stones disappear. So yesterday he says to me, I lay down on my back, and he goes, let me check your neck. And I'm thinking, okay, let me check my neck. He goes, Glenn, what happened? He goes, your neck is not the same neck that came in here 2 months ago. And he goes, it's flexible, it's mobile. was really funny. The only thing I could say, it was such a linear thing. I said to him, I said, Dr. Gale recommended I take ashwagandha. I don't usually say stuff like that, but I was thinking, I don't know what I did differently. You know what I mean? I could have said I'm in ceremony with Dr. Gale Randall for the last 97 days or whatever the specific linear number is. I don't know, but in that ballpark. And I thought so many things have shifted. I can't explain a lot of things. I really can't. I know that I don't get upset the way I used to. My upset period used to be 10 to 15 days. I'm down to like an hour now. I'm just noticing it. I'm sort of reflecting, I used to get upset about this, and now, there's this other thing that seems to be occurring. So some of what it is we cannot explain things. Sometimes we need to let this other factor kick in. So on the reality bend is that for intelligence to come through, your intelligence lives sometimes between your thinking. And the best way I could describe it is a lot of your thinking is dead thinking, and there's alive thinking. And alive thinking tends to be relational, and you're dipping into a different source. And I've had this happen. So it's interesting. I reflected on this last night with Dr. Gale. I want to tell you guys about this. I had this wonderful meeting with Dr. Gale last night. And I reflected on, because I always say to people, you can't do it on your own. This solo stuff is nonsense. I say it in a lot of pleasant ways. And what I'm really saying to them is we need each other. And we need to cover each other. And the whole experience of your faith is your fortune, which is part of the Vibrant Living Challenge, which is this 3-month challenge, is to really have this experience that your faith is your fortune. And so Gail, I realized that Gail had said something to me that I thought I already had taken care of. And she had said to me a few times, in funny ways, actually, she's incredibly funny. She told me a few times that I say things to you and you don't stop and go, "Is there a rhinoceros in your bedroom?" Like somehow she was saying things to me. And it's funny. She would feed it back to me. She was giving me golden feedback. And it was like, oh, I need to listen in this other way. And it occurred to me a month later. It was sort of like, wow. Right? Because in some sense, the way that I teach, that I work with people as a matchmaker, I say, well, dating definitely doesn't work. So I'm going to give you something that's incredibly different than dating that allows you to bond with someone that's incredibly different. It's not the formula of dating. So I realized with Gail, it was like, oh, I got to discover the relational language that we have, and it's different. So with dating, a lot of people run away after the 1 to 5 dates, but really relationships begins at a different rate. So I have my clients hold fingers. I have them do all these cool things, and I have them really get into this other level. All right, let's check in with everybody. So reality bending, we're going to talk more about, I call it relational reality, and we got Vishen, who's doing Mind Valley. And there's 3 things they've been talking about at Mind Valley, which I've been exploring for over 35 years, is 1, what is the problem or challenge with work? Why does work get in the way? Now I'm not talking about the kind of work where you're in flow and in tune and it's wonders. I'm not talking about that work. I'm talking about for 80% of people, the survival, the drudge, the doing stuff that puts you totally out of tune, that you begin to identify with, so you're dead to life. That's the kind of work they're talking about. It's the kind of work I'm talking about. So what happens when you work less and you're more in a flow and you begin to express, and actually you become a person who's, you become paid for who you are? What happens then? The other thing they've been talking about, which is an obstacle, is goal setting. So why is goal setting an obstacle, and how does it get in the way of reality bending? How does it get in the way? So many, many times in my life, and I am always open to this, there's another reality I don't see. And that reality is that, someone's going to lend me their car, and it doesn't work out. But within 24 hours, I get a brand new Prius, and someone says, have it for 10 days. So what happens is in every exchange, it looks like on a linear level, there's either this or that, and sometimes there's a third equation. So that comes when we listen to the listening. We listen to the listening. I've been a practitioner of listening to the listening. So the first time I heard about listening to the listening was the former financial ambassador of Chile. He's up against a firing squad. He's studying languaging. He's studying what languaging is. Most people don't have a clue what languaging is. So he's up against the firing squad. They're pulling the rifles back to kill him. And he realizes in every interaction, there's a listening that we don't pay attention to. And he listens to he really deeply, deeply pays attention to the riflemen, and they don't kill him. But that became a dedication to listening to the listening. So I want us to go around today and talk about reality bending. Or tell me what bubbles for you. And I want to invite you guys in on your faith is your fortune and how that relates to reality bending with our good friend, Shen at Mind Valley. You're listening to the Vibrant Living Radio Network. And I want you guys to get the feel. So there's a feel to this. That's the most relevant thing. In some ways, I'm saying one thing, but the feel is the most relevant. I realize, Janet, Janet, you should go first. No shoulds here, just because I think you're going to be teaching soon. Janet?
I'm sorry, hello?
That's okay. I'm sorry, hello. That was the first time you said that when we met each other, and I said, hi, I'm Glenn. Okay, no, I wanted you to go first.
I said, I'm very sorry. Yeah. I'm here speaking in the yoga studio, and okay. I actually had the door open, and it's early, and someone just came and was asking me about yoga classes, so I'm so sorry. Okay. I went and I kind of veered off. So anyway, no. You're talking about listening to the listening, and what did you ask me? So ask it again.
Well, I will ask it again. By the way, Dr. Randall, you'll need to step into my phone. In fact, loses all its power in my studio here. So just be ready. Be ready. I know. I trust you totally.
Okay.
Beyond trust you totally. Okay. I was just saying that. So I was saying in the beginning that this other quality of reality bending as a way of life and building your relationships is not a linear thing. It just ain't.
Right.
It's not linear. So the question is, what's running the show, and how is it relevant to us being reality benders that actually do not change our reality, that shift other people's reality? I wanted to get your comment as a world-class mind and as someone who kind of understands that language. It's a different language we're talking about.
I've been looking at that actually I don't know, not in words, but in that type of thing, reality, like when something comes up that feels unfair, what you were saying, life is not fair.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, correct.
So something comes up, I'm like, wow, that sure isn't fair. But yet, and it's maybe, it causes even heartache if I let my feelings out, but yet, if I look at it a different way, I realize that these things are not only, I hate to say it's an opportunity. That kind of gets oversaid. But what I'm like, it's an opportunity. Okay, yeah. Well, so, but anyway, it's actually a way to be empowering me. That's what I'm finding, is that when something feels like the rug got pulled out from under, and there can be blame. And if I go into blame and go there, I can't see it. I can't see anything but that. And that is looking at it with a certain part of the brain as well. So I think this is also very scientific. If you're looking at it from the part of the brain that judges, and you're repeating that over and over again, then that causes the problem mainly. It's not even what's happening. It's mainly that your thought is, circling over and over, and it's affecting you emotionally. But to go to a different place where there is no blame, not that I'm necessarily taking responsibility for it that's the other thing. I don't want to blame myself. So the idea of, I'm going to take responsibility, I have to be careful not to blame myself and just stay in that blame thing. So, so then it's like, okay, this life is happening, and then let me let it unfold, and let me let myself feel it for once, because I'm really good at just staying. I can do tons of yoga. I mean, yoga is a beautiful thing, but if you can overdo it in terms of not doing too much and not feeling. So you can use anything to do this, but that's a much healthier way to go than other things. But so anyway, my thing is to do a lot. I have different businesses. I do mime. I do yoga. I'm performing here. I'm doing this. I get to be on this radio show. So I can just bop from one thing to another and not feel.
You're on Vibrant Living Kauai right now. That's amazing.
Right.
Yeah, you're on Vibrant Living Kauai. Yeah.
It's just amazing. It's just so spectacular. So how is that? And you're asking me about what about this. So anyway, what's the answer? Sitting in meditation a bit, allowing, not having reactions, but allowing the emotions to happen, to react, allowing. And then what happens is people acknowledge, it's like the real true acknowledgement comes through. That's what I'm finding. Rather than looking for the easy fix of the outer thing and adjusting it, holding back, going into the zone, allowing the universe to take care of it, and having that faith, what you were talking about before, the faith is the fortune, that then it surfaces the truth and the reality and the lightness. So anyway, I will end it there.
I'll cut over and see you. Okay. I'm sorry, neighbor of mine. Neighbor of mine walked into the studio. It's totally okay. So what I wanted to say that because we do these. Okay, so I want you to play with this one, Jen. I'm playing with it. So at the end, when we have a dialogue, we always ask ourselves, "What's the question?" You said, "What's the answer?" So we play with what's the question? What's the question, right? What's the question? Yeah, what's the question? Because I realize a lot of this stuff, it's like there's not necessarily what we call an answer. It's kind of like, what's the question? I get a whole. So what's the question? Well, in other words, so the question, and then because what happens with it.
Let your faith be your fortune. And I tuned into something Janet said, and that's, allowing the universe. The universe will tell you what the energy is you need to follow. And sometimes I'll come into work, I'll have a full schedule, and all of a sudden nobody's coming in. And the girls will look at me and like, oh my God, what's happening? And I'll go, it's okay. Just trust it. It's gonna surface, and then something will happen. Like the day I had 4 hours free, and Glenn Brooks called me. And I ended up spending 4 hours on the phone with him before we knew what happened. But that was a real example of it. Let your faith be your fortune, because I just trust that the universe is going to tell me what I'm supposed to do in that time, and it always happens. Almost always happens if you open yourself to that. If you think of reality like a line, you take the two ends of that line and you pinch them together. That's reality bending.
Yes.
I like that.
The other thing is that for me, when I'm not doing that, it hurts. Like my heart might ache. And so I do something to relieve that ache rather than really sitting with it and allowing that. And I know that's been said, allow the feelings, but that's not always so what the tendency is. So the pattern has to be kicked out, or somehow shifted. Of okay, I'm gonna avoid that pain, and I can do it in a way that's gonna be good, and it's not so bad, but actually allowing and feeling it and going ooh, and then calling Glenn and going, Glenn, ooh, What do I do? And then at least getting support. And so I think that's what you were saying also, is we need each other to go, wow, I can sit with this, with you here maybe, you know.
Yeah, no, that's beautiful. That's so we play this thing in our vibrant speaking circles. So what we do is sit in a room together, and I'll say, well, tell me the assumptions you have about other people. And we get really outrageous. You know, we say, oh, you're a person I can't trust. They're like, what does the mind say really quickly about something? Like, what's the mind's conversation? And this is why I'm not a big proponent of niceness, because people cover this by being nice. But niceness can't show up in the thunder and realness of life. What could show up is a genuine, pleasant person, you know. So I just noticed that. It was really fun. I loved being on the break. And someone comes up to me and they say, God, I didn't like you at all when I first met you, but now I saw this other I love I love when people make the graduation from counterfeit responses to this other thing, right? Where they say, you know, like, God, there was this one guy it's a meditation center, you know, and he gives me the keys to his Lexus and he says, go pick your son up in my car. And we've been around each other a day. And I remember that day very specifically because I drove an old car. And my neighbor never said hello to me. This is New England. People barely speak to each other here, honestly. I'm a New Yorker. I'm out of the sea a little bit. But, of course, it doesn't matter when you go beyond culture. When you go beyond culture, then, in fact, we are connected, right, when you go beyond culture. So the guy that never said hello to me, this guy from the meditation gives me his brand new Lexus. I drive home. I'm going to go pick up my son, and I take a U-turn in my parking lot. It's very snowy. He's shoveling his roof, something they do here in New England. And he sees me in the Lexus. I thought he was going to pass away. He barely caught his feet when he saw me in Lexus. And I thought, oh, wow, like people really go by this. They go by the counterfeit stuff. That's their first reference place, is the counterfeit sometimes. So I was like, wow, he had this. So when I speak to people, and this is another reality bend. So I'll give you a reality bend. We're all my friends at Mind Valley. So I'm speaking to this woman at Motor Vehicles, right? And I have about $1,000 worth of fines. And I was like, oh, you know, I'm talking to her, and I'm like reminding myself, there's two conversations at any moment. There's the counterfeit and the genuine. I'll tell you what happened. I'll tell you the reality. But I want to welcome Vishen from Mind Valley and all my friends there, all my genuine friends. Your life's precious and joy. Stay with Vibrant Living. We only have stuff that's going to wake you up and have you re-examine this wonderful, meaningful life that's there for you. Right,
and Jen? I'm going to say aloha, okay?
Aloha.
I'll see you
Aloha.
next week. Aloha.
Next week we're going to talk to you. I'll call you.
The Real Conscious Connection. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM. Host your show on IOM FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IOM FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community.
Conflict comes in many forms and often triggers a fight-or-flight response. Some of us gravitate toward conflict, while many will stop at little to nothing to avoid it. Unfortunately, what we resist will persist, which often forces us to face our fear and deal with it head-on. Join me during my show, Conflict Rising, as I discuss the important role of conflict with leaders who have moved through it successfully. Tune in Thursdays at 3 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Remember, it's always darkest before the dawn.
Opiates has taken everything and everyone I've ever loved away from me. Everything.
I blew my ankle out and I got prescribed pain pills by my doctor.
If making my detox public is going to help somebody, I'm all for it. I just wish I would have had a warning.
Opioid dependence can happen after just 5 days. Know the truth, spread the truth. A message from Truth, the Ad Council, and ONDCP.
Hello, I'm Glenn Brooks. Welcome to the Vibrant Living Network. Upcoming, by the way, at the network today, I'm going to a third space today. You know what a third space is? A space that's different than home or work. I'm going to a huge celebration with about 24 restaurants. Gabrielle Gould will be with us from the Amherst Chamber, and I live in Amherst, Massachusetts. Even though you're listening to me in Vibrant LA, Vibrant Portland, Oregon, Vibrant New York. we got an event coming to Brooklyn where my beloved son, Michael Brooks, does some heck of a job exploring the real deal of politics, what they are, and how to get more participatory. So I'm setting the scale. Also, Gail Randall, Sherry Marquez. We lost Janet, and believe it, Lisa's not here. Lisa's not here. So I want to ask you guys a question right now, because I was pondering this. I had a chance to meet with the dog mystic, Sherry Marquez. So imagine if there's two different worlds for a moment. I want you to play with this. There's two different worlds. In one world, you got to find a dog trainer because you don't know how to deal with your dog, right? And your dog is a problem. The problems are so from outside, the outside, it looks like there's all these things happening with your dog, and you need outside help. So I want to just play with two different worlds. I want to give you another world, and this is the world of the dog mystic. Imagine from the inside, you and the dog are in harmony. The dog really wants to harmonize with you. So imagine this world, two worlds. One world, the dog's doing things that drive you crazy, leads you to the idea that maybe you should get rid of the dog, or the dog's not right. Sounds like I'm describing a divorce. I am a little bit. The principle here is the principle of oneness. Now, Sherry Marquez started her life. This is not an obituary or anything, by the way. She's very vitally alive, and I have the chance of talking to her in life. Yeah, I wanted to say you're really alive. I didn't want people to think you passed away. So you started out having this experience of profound connection with animals, and then later on you became a dog trainer. But what happened was you started to trust the initial authentic connection, and out of that you became the dog mystic, and now you've written this book, you're writing this book, The Dog Mystic, How to Be in Deep Tune with Your Dog. So I thought I'd start off by saying there's two different worlds. So if you're in a world where the dog's behavior is oppositional and the dog's ripping up your stuff, and it's like the one way you deal with it, it could be, is at the level of the problem. Well, Albert Einstein said, you cannot solve a problem at the level of the problem. I know that from my own experience. You need to get above it or around it. You need to see it differently. Of course, that gets into breaking spells and it gets into a whole bunch of stuff in our lives that keeps us drained and over-cortisoled, overstrained. So your dedication in life, Sherry, is to assist people with a harmony they never had, or they never had with their dog, or they experienced it a few times and they think, oh my God, if Ralph just behaved this way, or Judy, another dog name that's uncommon, was this way, it would be amazing.
Yes. Well, I mean, the main thing, and hello everybody, I am the dog mystic. So the main thing is, there's no problem to solve, just because if there is a problem, then you're actually not being in tune with your dog, because everything can be solved. So that's where I come in, just to teach you to solve the issue and try and figure out why the dog is doing what he or she is doing, and just to bring the peace into your home and save your belongings if there's things that the dog is chewing or the couch is being ruined. So there's always a reason why the dog is doing it. So it's just learning exactly what you need to do to either exercise the dog more or just figure out how to make that bond stronger and make the dog and yourself happier.
So I want to point out to our friends at Mind Valley and everybody else, so really Sherry's doing mind-bending dog education, reality-bending dog education. I want to take a moment to help people make this transition, because it's a different kind of listening we have here, you and dogs. Because really, when people come, the first thing I said to you was that people want to get replenished at a retreat. So we set up this retreat with you so that people are going to be replenished. We're going to have wonderful food. You're going to give a talk on being the dog mystic, the hidden things you don't realize about your dog, right? The hidden things you don't realize. So I want to give you this story because it's a reality bender. And you know how people say, oh, if I had enough money, or if I had enough this, life would work, or if I had enough houses, if I had enough this or that. If I had enough, that's a mantra in a linear mantra. If I had enough blank, life would be better, right? So fill in the blank. So I meet with, somehow there's a nonlinear connection that's profound. I sense this, Sherry. So I'm going to walk down this lane and Gail, Dr. Randall. So I feel I'm meeting the world's best oncologist, right? He's the best in the world. I feel that, Dr. Nick Gonzalez. Nick was at Sloan Kettering 20 years in New York, considered probably one of the finest learning institutes, places that people who have cancer go to, Sloan Kettering. So he gets on the phone with me. He's an oncologist. He lives in the world of researching, with the whole thing what people use this word cancer. I know in the new medicine they don't even use that word because they feel it falsely identifies with the disease. They're not. So I get on the phone with Nick. We have our first meeting is out of this world. And he says, Glenn, he goes, I got to tell you the story, and I want you guys to listen to the story in the light of a reality bend and your faith being your fortune. So reality says, Nick says to me, he says, Glenn, we've become really good friends. I'm calling him at home. And I just talked to a very famous model the day before I spoke. I talked to a very famous model the week before I speak to Nick. And she'd written some very famous vegan cookbooks. Now, she'd went to Nick. And she said to me the week before, she said, Glenn, she said to me, I'm so far away from being a vegan, it's not funny. And I said, what do you mean? She goes, every day now, after seeing Dr. Gonzalez, I eat raw fish and I eat raw meat. And she goes, and it's all clean stuff. It's pasture raised. It doesn't have hormones or chemicals. So I'm talking to Nick, and I'm like, I want to catch, what this genius is doing, because people are traveling the world to him for pancreatic cancer. So he says, Glenn, I got to tell you this story before I do anything else, and I want you guys to listen to this in the light of what Sherry's doing, because it's going to be different. So first of all, what Nick says to me, and this is going to blow your mind. You guys all sitting down. I want you to pay attention to your road trip, driving. First thing he says to me, no one ever dies of cancer. And I said, oh. And he goes, let me say that again to you. He goes, no one ever dies of cancer. And I was thinking, even if I don't think that's true, or I think it's true, I realize that so many people, that's a mass belief. That's a mass thought virus, right? People hear that and they think they're going to die. So he says, Glenn, he goes, last week, he goes, this billionaire came to see me. I said, really, a billionaire? I guess the billionaire doesn't have any money problems, right? Remember, in life you can make up these stories. So one story is, if I had this, life's going to be okay. So the guy had $1 billion, and he's traveling with a whole team of people, his own personal physicians in the room. And so what happens is, that day, the guy's leaving to see someone else in Italy. He's deciding who he's going to get treated by, right? Now, the same day, this other guy comes in who had been diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. And the guy was an architect. Maybe this happened 18 years ago. And Nick sat with him. And Nick said he would sit with the person, Sherry and Gail, so the person had full of faith in their eyes. He only would sit with them so they felt the faith. Because he said to me also, most people die. Oh, he said another interesting thing to me. This is a world-class oncologist. He says to me, he says, Glenn, he goes, what are most oncologists scared of? I'm like, I don't know, a whole bunch of shit. Oh, a whole bunch of stuff. Sorry about that. I edited myself. And he goes, no. He goes, they're terrified of cancer. He said that to me. And I thought, oh, I didn't occur to me. And he goes, the fear that they have gets transferred to some people. And he goes, I sit until they're full of faith, which is part of, by the way, it's part of reality bending. When you're conscious and it's full of your relationship with your dog, which is, you could have an experience with your faith is your fortune with your dog. So the architect said to Nick that day, and of course we could get Gail commenting on this one. He says to Nick, he goes, I'm going to be in faith with you. Now, that architect was alive for the next – he was very alive and well when I was talking to Nick that day. The billionaire passed away within 6 months of meeting Nick. And I said, wow. I said, what was your take on that? And he says, well, he goes, the guy was very smart, the billionaire, and he was a billionaire. But he said he could never just land in faith. So as it relates to dog training, as it relates to the dog mystic, I've been thinking about that. So I was thinking, I want to land in faith with my dog because every being on the planet has intelligence. How'd you like that story, Sherry? Do you think that – I guess what I'm looking at here is that – and Dr. Gail Randall, I'm just thinking that there's something there that's beyond the known, that's different, and it's so different like when Dr. Nick says to me, he goes, people die of the diagnostics, not the illness. That for most people, their immune shuts down. So as it relates to the wonderful thing you're doing, I said to you yesterday that it's not about you saying why you're not a dog trainer. You don't know what you got to do. All you do is kind of say to people, this is what I deal in. This is from my life and my deepest education. So it's kind of like, how many people do you guys know where the person's already an actor and they go to acting school and it gets in the way? Does that make sense? They go to acting school and it gets in the way of them being an actor. Does that make sense? I want to know if that resonates what I just said. Does that make sense to you, Sherry?
Yes, it makes sense because they have it already, and then they're learning the technical parts of it, and they lose the flow. The flow of actually being the actor.
All right, I just want to step in
allowing it to come out in a natural way.
Right. So as an example, when I read your story as a dog whisperer, you had this at, let's say, 5 or 4. Oh, thank you, Chris. Thank you, Gabrielle.
Hi.
Hi, welcome. I just want to give me 2 minutes. I'm just finishing this one segment with. I want to introduce you to the dog mystic, Sherry Marquez from Florida.
Hello, how are you?
Hello. Good.
I want to introduce you to Dr. Gail Randall from Los Angeles on our Los Angeles Vibrant Living show.
Hi.
Welcome.
So in a few moments, I'm going to talk to Gabrielle about this wonderful event that's coming to Amherst. So I'm just thinking of how to. So Sherry, as you prepare to come to this area, and I first came to this area, by the way, I'm going to bring you I go to a place called Mount Toby, which is one of the most sacred, beautiful, profound places. I bring all my clients there. As a matter of fact, Lisa, my producer, came here 18 years ago, and that's the first place I took her. I took her with hula hoops to Mount Toby. I had another woman come here with Mount Toby. We got to bring the people who come to the seminar. I had another one come here. She brought the remains of her son, who passed away at the Mayo Clinic, and she poured some of the remains in one of the waterfalls at Mount Toby. So Amherst has been a profound area. Everyone who comes here is pretty amazed. So we're going to come up about this event coming to Amherst tonight at 5 p.m. that I'll be at. I'll get to meet. Yeah, I get to meet you. So, hey, I have a fun thing. I want you to, Gabrielle. Why don't you have a dog, by the way?
I do. I have the most
Dang,
amazing
that's so
dog
good.
in the world.
I couldn't have set that up better. So, okay, great. I'm going to step out. I'm going to back up, and can I put you on the spot to ask questions to the dog mystic?
Yeah. Am I asking questions to my dog mystic?
Yeah.
Okay.
In other words, the dog mystic is Sherry Marquez, and you're this wonderful connection point here in town. And I see tons of dogs at Amethyst Brook. We're going to be, Sherry. We're going to do something. We're going to be at Amethyst Brook. So
we are there twice a day.
Okay, so your dog. So share. I can tell your love for your dog. What's your dog's name?
Samantha.
Of course, it's Samantha. Everyone loves you.
But we also call her true name at this point is Miss Moo because she looks like a cow. She looks like a big black and white cow. So.
Okay.
Nice.
Okay. Just for fun, because you're a person like I am. I go to Amethyst Brook and I go to the dog trail. Probably every day, and I take my walk and I learn from the dogs. I deal with the people and learn from the dogs. I'm just kidding. I learn from the people sometimes as well. What are you curious about? Like what would be something if someone said to you, what's something you learned from your dog or something you were curious about? Like what's your curiosity around your relationship with your dog? What works and what's something you're just curious about? It's kind of an open question.
It is an open question, but okay, so our dog I'm her person. She has her boys, which are the kids, and, she definitely, she is theirs and they are hers, but I am her person, full stop. And we have a pool, and when I swim laps in the pool, I have to let her touch me at just my nose. Like she has to put her nose to my nose at each end of the pool, and she runs back and forth and back and forth. She doesn't do this with anyone else in the family. She doesn't do this with anybody who's visiting. It is me. What do you think that's about?
Sherry.
And she's a very strong swimmer. So it's not that she's like, oh my goodness, water's bad. She loves water.
Wow. And she's not a new.
No, black and white. Okay. No, she can't be a moo.
Okay, black and white. Thank you. That was I was helpful.
Yeah. So I mean, it's more or less just a reassurance that she knows that you're okay because she sees you swimming, but it's more or less like a reassurance of like, I'm here just to let you know that if anything happens, I will save you in the blink of an eye, and I will be in there, and you got me. So
that's great.
I'm your protector.
Yeah.
So just
to in touch.
Does that ring to you, Gabrielle? Does that ring to you, Gabrielle?
It's funny. I always figured it was either that like safety or okay, like are you tagging me in? Should I come in? It's between the two. Like, am I allowed in the pool yet? You're the rule maker. Let me know. But yeah, I definitely think it is a touch in of, all right, you're still okay. Okay, now swim to the other side. I'll check on you over there. And but it's a very cute, neurotic, interesting thing that she does.
But she never jumps in. She
does not jump in. She knows she is not allowed in this pool. She jumps in at Amethyst all the time and at the lake and in the ocean. She's an incredible swimmer. She'll go for literally hours and just, keep going. She's quite something.
So, Sherry, I want to say that Gabrielle runs this whole, chamber. She's putting an event together tonight. It's incredible. It's a powerful.
We're
third
actually
place
a bid, which is different than a chamber. We're a business.
Tell me what it is. I'm totally confused. I don't know what it is. What is it?
That's okay. There are over 2,000 bids across the country, and they are set up. They were put into legislation by each state as they became. Massachusetts was one of the final states to start building bids. We were 47 out of 50. So we are in communities. Boston has several, and they are specific to, so we are the downtown Amherst bid, and we have a section of downtown. And what happens with a bid is that we are part of the tax base. So our downtown landowners pay into the bid, and our job is multifold. It is to beautify and create safety in the downtown area. So Boston has some programs where they have a phone number that you call and somebody will walk you home from the grocery store or, the restaurant late at night. Some areas have clean and safe programs which are picking up needles and making sure that the streets are clean and safe. In Amherst, we focus a lot on beautification of our town. So when you're in downtown Amherst and you look around and you see hanging pots from the posts and flowers and the grounds are clean. We have a cleanup team that cleans our streets every day and makes sure that downtown is attractive and clean and very, very safe, which is a big thing when you're in a 5-college town. We want to make sure that all of our students feel comfortable coming into town and enjoying themselves and then walking back to their dorms or their campuses or their rental houses. But we also work a lot on marketing Amherst as a whole. So a big chunk of our budget and mission is bringing more people to downtown Amherst. I said to you earlier, Glenn, that I think Amherst is the jewel in the crown of the valley. It is a beautiful, beautiful location 4 seasons of the year. We're heading into leaf peeping season, and it's an incredible place to come and call your base while you go out and explore everything that this area has to offer, whether it's rowing the Connecticut, tubing the Deerfield, skiing up in Vermont. We are, a great location, leaf peeping, et cetera, for people to come and enjoy us. We've got 37 remarkable restaurants.
Sherry, this is where you're coming. You're coming to teach a seminar in Amherst, Massachusetts, one of the places.
That's great.
I want you to get,
we look forward to having you.
You know what I want to do? I promised I would do this, and since you're on, Gabrielle, go ahead and give out the website for this amazing event beginning today for 5 o'clock. I get to meet you in person. Go ahead and give out the website, and I'm going to set up another me, you, and Sherry, because I'm so excited about being in Amethyst Brook and meeting all the amazing dog owners who I see regularly when I go to Amethyst, by the way.
So tonight is our 8th annual block party where we basically shut down all of downtown Amherst, and we, the bid, produce this incredible block party where all of our restaurants, all of our street owners come out onto the streets. You can buy any incredible amount of and variety of wonderful food offerings. We bring a circus down. We have acrobatics. We have aerialists in the air, tightrope walkers, stilt walkers, jugglers, and people from all around come. But really, our community comes down, and they come into downtown. Live music at the top of the South Pleasant Street, which is our main strip, live music at the bottom and everything in between, and it's just a great place for families to come and enjoy. Nonprofits set up tables with information about who they are and what they're doing. And again, this is our 8th annual. It is free to all. It is free to all to come to the event, and it is free for all to participate in the event. So none of the businesses or the nonprofits are paying to be here today.
I want to ask you about the next best nonprofit to work with when we're going to give a percentage away. There's something we want to assist the dogs with in the Amherst area. Oh, I want to do this since I got you. And Sherry, I want to know if you could stay another 10 minutes. Are you bound to leaving at 2 p.m. East Coast time, or could you stay another 10 minutes?
I have to walk out at 2:05 because I have to go set up for this party. So that's 10 minutes from now.
You know what? I'm just going to do this review. I wanted you to hear this review because it was amazing. I walked into a new restaurant in Amherst, which is IYA. Iowa?
Aya.
Sushi. Yeah. Aya. Thank you. I knew you could do that.
Yeah.
So I met the chef. His name is Noran. And he cooked me 2 meals. And what I want to say about these meals, if you guys forget the medicinal wonder quality, and you know what, I also own the Vibrant Living Food Network across the country. I'm telling you, Gabrielle and Sherry and Gail, I just felt like a different human being after those meals. So he comes back there. He makes these 2 sushi bowls with greens and gluten-free, low sodium. And he goes, Glenn, I added a lot of love to your meals. And I said, Norrin, I felt that love. It's an amazing place. I'm considering doing a gathering there 2-3 times a week and have vibrant meals and open. So I want to acknowledge that. That was wonderful.
Well, Glenn, Aya is new, and we're loving what they're doing, but we've got so many amazing restaurants here. I mean, we have a Tibetan restaurant. We got to get you back on. I want to talk to you about doing Vibrant Valley live from Amherst. I'll meet you later. I want to introduce you and Samantha to the Dog Mystic when Sherry comes, and I want to touch base with you about promoting it through what you do. And it's an absolute honor talking to you, and I'll see you. Give out your website again. Everybody head to Amherst. This is going to be one heck of a celebration. Go ahead and give out the website one more time, Gabrielle. We are www.amherstdowntown.com. And remember that is Amherst with an H, AMHERST, downtown.com.
Pleasure talking to you. Look forward to seeing you, Gabrielle.
All right. Thank you so much. Have a great afternoon, and I'll see you around 5 o'clock. Thanks, Ben.
You got it.
Nice talking
Thank
to
you.
Nice speaking with you, too. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Looking forward to meeting you at the store.
I'm going to take you to Meal the Dogs, and we're going to have so much fun. Gail, at 2:10, I'm going to dive in with Dr. Gail Randall. What has Gail been thinking all this time? What has she been thinking? She always asks me that question. I'm turning it around. What have you been thinking? All right. So Sherry, I'm so excited you get to come to the Amethyst Brook. I met 2 Leon Burgers there. So Leon Burgers if you're in the woods and you see a Leon Burger, these dogs look like absolute lions. They're huge, and they got these incredible, And here's the thing about Sherry's book, and here's the thing about the seminar. The Dog Mystic is writing this book. It's going to come out, looks like late spring as I speak to you right now. The seminar is releasing stuff that she's been exploring and embodying and having people have the experience with their dogs, which is really about being in deep tune with your dog, which she's going to, Sherry's going to be here. I'm Sherry Marquez. We're going to give you out the website. So the woman that had these dogs, the Leon Burgers, she signaled me in the woods. And I could tell as soon as she signaled me that the dogs were going to be amazing. But they're like, I'm talking 160-pound dogs are running at me. And I felt totally safe. I guess leave us today and take your time. What do you want to leave with the audience to begin to explore in their experiences before they come see you, Sherry, for our 2 seminars coming to the Berkshires and coming to the Valley? It's a day with the Dog Mystic, Sherry Marquez, and the author of the forthcoming book, Dog Mystic. Being in deep tune with your dog. What do you want to leave with today?
Well, what Janet was talking about was allowing. even if you are at a point with your dog of, I don't know if I can keep this dog, he or she is driving me absolutely crazy and destroying my house, and what am I going to do? More or less, allow the feeling to be there, allow the frustration to be there, but know that there's always a solution to the issue. There's always a reason why it's happening. And as the dog mystic, that's my goal, is to teach people exactly what to do to be in tune and to figure out exactly what's going on with the dog, and the reason why that the dog is doing what they're doing, you know, and the and also just to, you know, the seminars are going to be different because it's the experience that you're going to have that's different with your dog that you're having right now. Just to breathe, to be more in tune, to be exercising, just quieting your mind and enjoying the silence and experience and experience your bond with your dog, you know, and getting all your questions answered. I mean, it's just a different experience than just hearing about dog training. It's the allowing of what you're feeling with your dog and learning that communication that you already have with your dog, but just to grow it even more. Like
I want to let you guys know.
Intuitive communication that increases the forever bond that you have with your dog. And
so
as always,
we're going to stay with us, Sherry. Stay with us.
Okay.
Stay with us. Yeah, we're going to. You guys want to see pictures of Amethyst Brook? I get that, because some people are going to be coming from Boston. Sherry will give out her website, and we're going to have an application on there, something you could fill out your things that are close to your heart, and you can start writing about it. So, you know, really you start to tune into the seminar, which is about being in deep tune with your dog. We're going to dive into the world of Dr. Gail Randall. It's going to be a wild, mystical...
With Waves of Consciousness on OMTimes Radio.
Ascending Hearts is no ordinary dating site, but a spiritual dating site with a purpose, to link you with your soulmate. We engineer the serendipity so you can trust that you will attune with someone that has the same matching vibration as you. Ascending Hearts, the conscious dating site for the spiritually aware. Try Ascending Hearts for free. AscendingHearts.com.
I'm Kathy Williams, host of Sexy Mom Abundant Life radio show on Thursdays at 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific. On the show, we explore living abundantly in every area of your life. Ways to let go of limiting patterns and beliefs and to step into the flow of creativity and possibility, knowing you are supported by the universe.
Hi, we're the Goo Goo Dolls. We're fortunate that our daughters have what they need to grow and learn. But that isn't the case for nearly 13 million kids in the U.S. that struggle with hunger.
Childhood hunger is a heartbreaking reality that Feeding America is working to change. Each year, the Feeding America network of food banks rescues billions of pounds of good food that would have gone to waste and provides it to families and children in need.
You can help kids in need in your community by visiting feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
You're listening to the Vibrant Living Network. We're talking to the Dog Mystic. In a moment, I'm going to take you to an auditorium, a stage that people go to all around the world. It's 8 months from now. I'm going to introduce you to the world of Dr. Gail Randall, as I personally and deeply know her and recognize her. All right. It looks like they're calling to give me brand new free tires on the other line. Okay, I'll need to wait for that. The Dog Mystic's all about asking these questions and having practical results beyond the strain and struggle, so you have the kind of harmony with your dog that maybe you haven't experienced in a while. We're going to go to some beautiful places outside, and by next week, you're going to be able to go to Sherry Marquez's website and fill out an application. We want to deeply welcome you, because there's more than the challenge of information is limited. All right, Sherry, go ahead and send out the audience. Send them. Share with them, something that you want to stay with, and let them inform their. We're cultivating a community of dog mystics. You know that right now. It's happening.
Well, my mission is to keep dogs in the forever home, and teach people how to build that intuitive bond with their dog and dog or dogs. So my website is smartpawsdogtraining.com, and there I do have a comment page that will be sent to me via email. So any questions whatsoever, please. I would absolutely love to answer your questions. I have videos and whatever is needed. I am here to help and create a long-lasting, forever bond with your dogs. So I
thank you deeply, and thank you, Sherry, and I'm so enthused to have you introduce you to the people of the Berkshires and the Valley and all around the country, so people could have this experience. We'll have a special page on the website too, and I'm Glenn Brooks. So thank you deeply, Sherry. We'll be with you next week, as we have many people who want to meet you and bring this message to more people, and I deeply appreciate you. So thank you, Miss Dog Mystic, if I may. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm excited, and I can't wait to see everything that's going to unfold. So have a wonderful week.
Thank you, Sherry.
Bye, Miss Gail Randall, Dr. Gail Randall. Have a wonderful week. Thank you.
Bye, Sherry. It's Gloria.
Bye.
Hey,
Hi, Gloria. Bye.
Bye.
Have a good week.
All right, as we transition, thank you, Sherry. Deeply appreciate you.
Thank you.
So as we transition to manifesting or mastering miracles with Dr. Gloria Kay, I just wanted to dive in and welcome Gloria. I just wanted to dive in. I wanted to introduce you, Gail, to a group of 100 people that are ready to meet you. How's that? There's 100 people waiting right now to meet you in person, and I was going to introduce you to them.
Yeah,
are you ready?
I heard them in the waiting room, actually. So. There's a lot of noise going on.
Oh, them. I should. Oh, them. It's a different group that I was. But yes, them too. Them too. So imagine if you've been exploring healing for years, and maybe no one in your whole family or schooling system ever mentioned healing to you. But they sort of mentioned, my grandfather passed away when he was 66. Hard to believe. I loved him so much, and he was the only person I felt fully safe with, and I was going to live with him because my parents didn't really kind of get my language. You know, sometimes people just don't get your language. They don't get you. And my grandmother passed away. I never saw her stand up, ever. And when I'd go to see my grandmother, I saw tons of pills on the table next to her bed. And sometimes she'd write me a check. And why that was notable to me was I liked getting the check. But two, or one, she could barely hold a pen. And so her hand would quiver. And I guess what it was as a kid, with my brain style and who I was, I didn't realize there was something beyond that world. So when I mean beyond that world, it's the counterfeit world, the world where people break down, they get diagnosed, and that is it. Or in the Kabbalah, the people get a certain amount of knowledge and they die to the tree of life, the life that's beyond their understanding, the ability for the body to replenish and regenerate. And so what I discovered with Dr. Randall, I discovered this by being in relationship with her in a way that caused me to re-inquire and examine a situation that to me was a profound health crisis. And so I want to say to you, the guys, even if you read a lot of books and done certain seminars, that Dr. Randall will open up your world. So be willing today to ask a new question and be willing to receive something different. So today, and we're gonna pass the baton to Dr. Gloria Kay in a moment. But imagine if what you've been diagnosed with, what you've been walking around with, you know, the definition of chronic fatigue, the definition of rheumatoid arthritis, whatever someone's given you. And sometimes what they give you, and I don't want to put the blame on anybody. They've given you a curse. They've given you something. They haven't given you a framework of life. They haven't given you a framework of who you are. You have this vital system. And there's a thievery that's taken place. And the thievery is they've spoken to you in a very linear way. And who you are is not linear. You can't measure the vital rhythmic pulsation of who you are. This is about my 98th day working on the inside with Gail, developing stuff from our relationship, from our wisdom, for your faith is your fortune. And I'm honored to have with us today and presenting to you Dr. Gail Randall. There's people come around the world to see you today, Gail. And you're there.
105 days.
Oh, my God, thank you for recalling that.
Just for the regular reality, unbend. It's 105 days.
Thank you. The unbending. Oh, my God, the unbent reality. Unbent reality is you guys owe those taxes. You're probably going to pass away of your illness. Like, come on, step away from that. I want you guys to think about the old days. They had this show on the air called The Outer Limits, and the show would begin. You see these horizontal lines that come across the screen. So there's horizontal lines, and then really who you are is vertical. So I want you to step up. I want you to take exhales, 3 exhales, and be willing.
It's circular and spiral, and like your neck, going in to see the chiropractor and your neck is magically healed. Why is your neck magically healed?
I don't know. We got to get him on the phone, actually. I'm going to introduce you. I'm going to have my chiropractor on next week with you and Gloria.
Have me on the phone. I can help you understand that reality.
Okay, go ahead.
That non-reality. Because what has happened through the work that you've been doing, the neck is about connectedness. It's about the divine mind, and that outside of the divine mind, the divine, filtering through the crown into the mind and connecting with the heart. And your connectedness, your sense of connectedness, your mind and your heart has healed in the last 105 days. And so your neck, when you went in to see the chiropractor, the physical manifestation of your neck being congested and inflamed is no longer. You know, apart from the improved diet and the number of major plant-based anti-inflammatories that you're on, but it was really more of an energetic thing for you. So it.
Well, you know what I wanted to comment real quick, but I don't want to get in the way. I don't want to step on your tango toes. Please continue.
Well, you already did. So what were you going to say?
Very good.
I was very good. I love you did that. I already did. The audience didn't hear that. No, I just wanted to say that, you know, one of the things, and by the way, it was sort of that's a very profound moment when the health practitioner says to you, how on earth are you functioning so well? That was a really profound moment. I left there like I was walking on clouds. Well, before I met Dr. Gloria Randall, I had been working with Dr. Gloria Kay, who would say to me, now I'm working on your neck, and now I'm working on your skull, and now I'm working behind your eyes. So the prelude to our profound experience was I had Gloria. I would say Gloria was the third. I think I met 3 or 4 people that I considered the real deal of long-distance healing. One of them was a guy from Australia. His website was called Absent Healing. He was $40, and he helped people around the world. And I actually do believe they actually helped people dissolve tumors. He was actually that amazing. And his integrity, who he was, he practiced 62 years. So when I started working with Gloria, I can remember this, Gail, really well, because when I met with Gloria, I can remember I had 2 experiences in the day. This is before I had the deep blessing and miracle of meeting you, so we could experience miracle down by the dumpster. Everybody seems to like that story. So I had 2 types of time. So one type of time was there's going to be a space in the day, and I get to work with Dr. Gloria, and that moment in the day really was just I don't know. I sort of prayed for. I was so open to and actually when Gloria worked on my eyes, behind my eyes, and this is all long distance, but it was almost like I was right in the room with her. I was so, in some sense, over-doctored at that point. There's a new book out. Oh, my God, it's such a good book. It's the guy who wrote the Wheat Belly book, and he just wrote a whole book about being over-doctored. So doctors give you outside information often. Having someone actually hold and touch you deep in your skull and talk to you from the inside out is distinct and profound. And if you haven't had the experience, I deeply encourage it with someone real like Dr. Gloria. So working with Dr. Gloria set me up for the next level. So I always knew from reading a book called The Healer's Art about Spalding Hospital in Boston that the most profound healing came when healers came together and would actually work with one patient. So at Spalding Hospital, like maybe 6 or 8 healers would get together. So this healing that I have with Gloria opened me up to the next level. Now, what's sort of interesting, and I think you guys are going to appreciate this, I had tremendous amounts of knowledge. So there's a big difference between knowledge and the experience. So I want to acknowledge you, Dr. Gloria, for the wonderful work and what we did in the beginning. And then the next story was working with Dr. Gail. And now I feel like I'm at another level. So what happens is when you go beyond just healing symptoms, I want you guys to realize there's something far beyond your symptoms, which might be disturbing and draining and horrible for you. But imagine if there's another planet where you actually gain this thing called the Tree of Life. You gain replenishment and energy. And now, okay, for my friends at Mind Valley, okay, and I know you guys like that country. Was it Slovenia? I think it's Slovenia. I hope I'm saying that right. Vishen, when you were talking about how people live to into the hundreds, and I guess well past in some cases, the lifestyle of vibrant well-being and radiance is so different. So I would say with both Dr. Gloria, and this is where the reality bend comes in. So the reality bend is you're not just working on the suppression or the overcoming symptoms. You're beginning to wake up an aspect of yourself, your being, your physical self, that you may have never been in touch with. And usually the body's intelligence goes to some place that might be beyond your thinking. Like, for instance, you might start hearing again. You have maybe heard on your right ear for 30 years. So vitalistic medicine is a whole different planet. So the reality bend, the relational reality bend is when your doctor has this frame of reference, this paradigm, it's transferable to you. So the reality bend here is that when your physician actually feels like it's regular for your body to exceed the chronological limits, you go into something called using. How would you like to use as a way of life? Okay, I'm throwing the baton in the air here. I integrate both of you being on my Vibrant Healing team. And the next question to ask yourselves, what's beyond healing? I want you guys to ask yourself that sometimes too. So, Dr. Gloria, why don't you say something, then we'll go back to Gail, because Gail got apparently 105 people in the room here.
Oh, okay. Well, there's crowding.
But I need to give a heads up. I have to leave early today because I have an appointment. I'm sorry.
Okay. Well, we could just I wanted to pass the baton to you again in a moment, Could we pass you the baton back to you after Gloria comments?
Of course.
Okay. That's of course. That sounds like she's still going to play Twister with us, please.
Well, it's just been such a pleasure to be part of this team. It has opened me personally and professionally. I see possibilities that I can't see. And I'm
I think, Gloria, maybe your cell phone's breaking here.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, now it's better, yes.
Okay. So what I was saying, the whole integration of the team and all that we've been working with is really divine. And so your question was, beyond healing, what is it? Well, it's probably an essence of sorts. So if you can imagine us all walking around with an essence, and we are in the physical body, but at the same time, we have a strong sense of this essence. So when we approach someone coming at us, say, walking along, there's an essence that we are emanating, and it's very attractive and it's very magnetic. So what's happening to us individually is beginning to happen in a community and more universally. So that's what I have to say about Beyond Healing. Gail, take it away.
I agree with you. What's Beyond Healing? Vibrant living, of course, but it really has to do. I was talking about a connectedness in terms of an individual with Glenn. He became more connected, but as we work with healing ourselves and other people, we become more connected, like you said, as a community. Yes. And as an entire planet, as a globe. As a matter of fact, today I have to give a shout out to the kids because they're all out there demonstrating for the planet, and we all need to point our arrow in that sacred direction. That's healing. That's healing the entire planet together. I'm all for it. If you need a ride home from school, let me know. Call me. I'll go get them. I mean, I'm all for this. It's just the best thing I've ever seen happening. We used to do that in the 90s and the 80s and the 60s. We brought home the kids from war. We changed the environment here locally in Los Angeles, and now the kids are trying to get their planet back, and I love it. I love it. But that's collective consciousness. That's connectedness. That's community. That's vibrant living.
I'm in total agreement with you. Yes. Well stated. Well stated. And here in Santa Barbara, I just want to make mention that we're having a cleanup day of the beaches tomorrow.
Love it.
Yes, last year there were 3,500 pounds of trash and 900 of recyclables. So there are 27 beaches involved. I don't know if you've heard all of this, but I'll just say it briefly. Families are invited, and everyone is invited to participate in this. So we are becoming much, much more global. We're becoming more global as a community, and that's where we need to be.
That is it. Yep. Gives me goosebumps to even think about it.
Yes, exactly.
Now, I got a question for you, Gail. It says they call you the reality bending doctor. What would you like to share with Vishen from Mind Valley about reality bending? Actually, I got a different pronunciation. I checked this out. Vishen, you got to say what it is because someone who's went to UCLA is saying it different than me. Oh my God, here it goes. Go ahead, Gail.
I watched his video with Jimmy Quick and he called himself Vishen, so I don't know.
Well, I'm going to go with that pronunciation then. Even though I was parked my boat into Vishen because it's a cool name. He's got another name, so I'm going to let you take the lead. So, what's the name we're using for the founder of Mind Valley that you like better? Or I should say that really is perhaps the founder of Mind Valley.
Yeah.
What do you call it? What's his name? Yes.
Well, I thought I heard on the show that I watched on Instagram.
Yeah.
I thought they called him Vishen.
Vishen, okay. Vishen, okay. Vishen, or am I saying mispronouncing it?
What I heard.
Vishen. Okay. All right. So the study of all the people at Mind Valley is clearly about going beyond the bounds of definitions that create obstacles. that basically one of the things they were saying that people that work too much is they totally drains their adrenals. So the millennials say that they related to the idea of being massively burned out as a culture. And so what they were saying in BuzzFeed, you can check this out in BuzzFeed, it's the article, is that they feel totally burned out. So they don't have time to play. They feel worn out in terms of their gigs going and dissatisfaction. So when Vision, I gave it another shot there. I'm doing my best, by the way, Vision. Here in the Vibrant Living Network, ear to ear, coast to coast, globally. We're asking you questions. So the question is, as someone who sees different generations, different chronological age of people, and also helping them let go of chronological age and have a depth of healing, I know at Mind Valley, one of the big questions is to go beyond all the conventional stuff and go beyond the working that's draining our adrenals, to go beyond the goal setting that's straining us and conforming to a standard that someone else had for us. And also the education that keeps a lot of people, a lot of college students, the message is all messed up. The message is work, 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 drain, drain, drain. It's the common. So what keeps us in non-reality bending is one message: do, be, have. Do, be, have. The message we're promoting, and I know that Mind Valley is be, have, be, have, do. We want to really come from this place of beingness and being into this moment that's alive and vital. So for our friends at Mind Valley and the whole Vibrant Living Network and our friends at OMTimes, from being a new Vita physician, what do you feel the message that you want to predominantly share with people? So that, as I said before, that Dr. Gonzalez, the oncologist, the healer oncologist, said to me, he doesn't let people leave the office so they have deep faith. Tell me what your experience, and also from working with you, I'll comment. But share, what do you want people to leave the office with when they come to see you? That's usually a revelation to them, that usually gives them a reality bend just listening to it. What is that?
They leave with hope. They leave with the understanding that they can be well and that they will be. And by the time they leave, they're already feeling better. They already feel well because they know they have that potential possibility. They know they have that. The problem with kids, the problem with millennials who feel like work is burning them out is because they don't feel like there's hope for the future. If you could give them some nidus of happiness within their work, they would feel better about it. If you could give them that hope for the future, they would feel better about it. They would feel better about work. Work wouldn't be so hard. If you know that there's going to be a light future, and I think we're seeing that in the kids right now, as I mentioned before, it's to have faith. Like you said, you started out this whole show with have faith. You know, faith is your fortune. If you can have faith in the future, but what you do, you have to live well right now. You have to believe that what you're living right now is part of that future, because it is. If you live a really good now, your future is destined to be fabulous. But it's about changing that perspective about the now, and that's what a lot of the Mind Valley people are doing. They're changing perspective about the now, and I like that about them. But this isn't new. It's just new the way they're teaching it, which is, I like it. If you're getting to more people, you're helping more people, I'm all for it. But it's have hope, and hope brings happiness. Faith brings light. It fills people with light, and it makes them lighter. You know, they're not as burdened. They're not as heavy. They're not carrying around the weight of being worried that some diagnosis is going to drag them down and kill them. They're going out of here feeling like, oh my God, you know, there's life within this. I can live my life. I can have happiness within, you know, the realm of what these words that have been put upon me. They don't really count anymore. They're just words. That diagnosis is just a set of words. That I can still have my life, I can still have my hope, that I can have faith, and that is my fortune.
You're listening to the Vibrant Living Network on Mastering Miracles. I'm going to ask Dr. Randall about this, and we go back to Gloria. By the way, just so you guys know, we got Elaine Gibson, who overcame quite a disastrous diagnosis, a trance, a spell, about 9 years ago. The doctor said that she wouldn't live to see her first one of her grandchildren. I'm not sure which one. I think she has 2 or 3. So I kind of let people know are you going to be able to be on this conversation with Elaine Gibson a little bit, Gail?
I'm afraid not.
Oh, all right. I wish I knew that. I was so excited to have the dynamic of this inquiry together with you.
I have an emergency across town. I'm got to go give somebody hope.
Okay. All right. No, that's great. You're being on purpose here. What's your comment about manifesting miracles? Because you got to go. I'm going to go to you. What is the idea of mastering miracles? I've asked tons of people about this. When I hosted Dr. Bernie Siegel, I said, let's go to the auditorium for all those people that got these diagnoses. The only thing Bernie said to me by the way, I asked about miracles, and his response, the author of Love, Medicine, Miracles, I know Bernie about 29 years now, and he said, Glenn, he goes, have people focus on picking their favorite flavor of ice cream when they order it today. What would you say about mastering miracles that you think that you've discovered after graduating, you say, like being a professor, specializing in integral and holistic medicine, and really becoming quite a medicine of depth healer? What's your recommendation for someone who feels hopeless, feels disconnected? How does a person move into this wonderful place called mastery, which all these classes we teach here at Vibrant Living has to do with mastery classes? How does someone begin to have this experience of the mastery of healing and the mastery of vibrant living? Big question.
Yeah, well, apart from what I've already said, it's about changing your perspective. So it's about finding the gift. In every illness, it sounds odd, there's a gift. If I may use you for an example, you had your emergency, let's call it, and then it really became about your new vision for the planet, exactly what you're putting out today, the Vibrant Living Challenge, your faith is your fortune, and, all of the beautiful ideology that you're seeing for us out there. That was the gift in your illness, so to speak. There's been so many examples of that, and that miracles do happen, and I have seen literally thousands of miracles. And if you help the patient knows you're there to be there for them. You take the burden off of them because you're there. It's just like when you're with your friend and you share with your friend some problem you have. If you're with this expert that has expertise in medical therapies, that has expertise in herbs, expertise in energy, and you share with them what it is, you are able to share that burden with them. That makes your load lighter, and it makes you be able to change your perspective, look through the other ends of the binoculars, if you will, at what your quote-unquote dis-ease is, and find the gift in there. If you can find the metaphor in that illness, what is it? That it's like your neck, about your connectedness. That was a beautiful gift. Oh, wow, what did it tell us? I mean, we looked at it backwards, but when it got better, we knew, wow, Glenn is now receiving his divine mind more readily than he was before because he's more connected. So if you understand the metaphor of that illness, you can understand the gift of the illness, and it gives you hope and ability to move forward. Changes your perspective about the future. It's not dark and grim. It's light, and the pathway is clear. Do you see that, Gloria, in your work?
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. So attitude is very important. And
stay with us. We'll pick up more with Dr. Gloria saying. Hopefully we could get Dr. Gail to stay on 5 more minutes and introduce Elaine Gibson.
Sure. Cool.
The future of Internet radio is here. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
OMTimes magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. Connect at OMTimes.com. OMTimes, creating a more conscious lifestyle.
Hello, I'm Sandy Sedgbeer, host of OMTimes Magazine's flagship radio show, What is Going On? My passion is sifting through information, research, and innovations from new thought teachers, speakers, and researchers pushing back the boundaries of what we know about life, energy, metaphysics, and the universe. I love shifting perceptions about who we are, why we're here, and how quickly impossible becomes normal when we open our minds, expand our awareness, and accept that the only limits that exist are those we place upon ourselves. So if you're the kind of forward-thinking, eager investigator of what lies beyond the current reality that most perceive, why not make a date to come play with me in the field of possibilities at 4 p.m. Pacific Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Time every Thursday, and together we can discover what's really going on.
Imagine being fired because of who you love. Imagine being denied medical treatment because of who you marry. Imagine being evicted because of who you are. Millions of Americans don't have to imagine this. They have to live it. Because in 31 states, it's legal to discriminate against LGBT people. Get the facts at beyondido.org. Brought to you by the Gill Foundation and the Ad Council.
Great.
Hi. Gloria, are you there?
I'm sure am.
Okay, why don't you go ahead? Is Elaine on? Why don't you go ahead and say,
Yes.
continue with what you were saying. Attitude was really important.
Elaine's here.
Hi, Elaine.
Hi.
Hi there. Would you like to comment, or shall I just be brief about manifesting miracles?
Why don't you finish what you were saying about attitude, and then we'll have Elaine.
Good idea. So attitude is so important. I think we need to be discriminating. People can be well-intentioned, but not necessarily refined enough to be a good vehicle. So please be aware of that there are well-intentioned people, but again, to be a vehicle for hope, it's more than just a verbal thing. It's a whole beingness. So as we listen to Gail, we can actually experience her beingness of hope. So I would just like to comment that that's an important thing to do. I've been doing remote healings for many, many years. I've been called the real deal, and that kind of tickles me. But in fact, I am able to work with people worldwide with results. So, the old adage, the proof is in the pudding. Well, when people say, I no longer have pain, this is resolved, that is resolved, I am absolutely delighted. So I am happy to work with anybody who has a need for my service. I do specialize in pain management, but this show has really enlarged my world in that I realize the energy work that I do has a much larger scope than just pain management. Not only does it give hope, but it also affects the heart chakra. People become more open, more sensitive, and the whole beingness of energy work becomes apparent in the individual. All right. That's my comment. Elaine, so good to be speaking with you.
Thanks. It's great and fun to be here.
It is, isn't
Awesome.
it? Yes. Yes.
So why don't you recap your story for the audience briefly? I know we had you on before, but if you could recap quickly what happened to you, what brought you, to come to where you are now in terms of your medical situation and in your visualization of how to deal with illness and so forth.
Great, thank you. And I love what you all are doing. It just makes my heart sing, and nothing makes me happier than feeling like I want to sing and dance. So very briefly, I was diagnosed in February 2008 with a recurrence of a cancer, which I had been like 18 months past my 5 years, with stage 4 non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, and basically that's not something anybody wants to hear. And it was suggested to me that following conventional protocols was what I needed to do, and in my heart I knew that wasn't the path that I wanted. And I did not accept the fact that I was told that if I didn't, that I probably would not see my grandchildren grow up. So I came home and I said, bye, this just isn't my road. And I respect what you're doing, but it's not my road and it's not my energy. So basically I came home, I fell to my knees on this gorgeous needlepoint carpet rug, area rug that we have in our living room. And my friends and my colleagues and my clients, everybody calls it the magic carpet now. So I fell to my knees and I looked up and I said, okay, God, I know I'm not going to die. This is not what you have in store for my children. Tell me what you want me to learn. I'm all yours. Very uncharacteristic for me and where I came from. But all my life I knew I was spiritual. So basically I went on a journey and I studied what the foundation of health is, and I had several discoveries that I made along the way, and kind of secret kind of things that I learned and have implemented. And so I went on a journey without traditional protocols. And the end of the year 2009, I was deemed clean, of course, still scared because it happened before. And then a year later, I found Lisa Wilson in the Raw Food Institute. I was introduced to raw food. And I went there for a week, and they gave me green juice when I walked in the door, and I drank it for 2 hours because my cells were now singing.
Awesome.
And, yeah, in 2008, right after my diagnosis, I was introduced to ionized water, and I really feel that had a huge impact, bringing oxygen into my body. We know that's what the cells need. So anyway, what I have done is I have put a ribbon around all the discoveries that I made and created the Extraordinary Living Made Easy method that I have taken and used. In fact, I'm very excited as we're sitting here today. I'm working on releasing it in an online version, which I'm very excited to reach more people. But and it's not that I work with people necessarily that are in a health crisis, because many of my clients are women over 45 that want to do the work that is really so important, so paramount to the world now, and I really help get them to their best place because they're taking care of everybody else but themselves. And Lord knows we need these women to be, and I'm not saying anything about men, I'm just saying that my happy place is working with women who have a huge passion, supporting them to get everything together in their life. And I'm basically an age-defying wellness expert. Put the whole thing together, everything I do, and that's what I do, and that's what I bring. And I'm releasing a new course called The Vitality Miracle, and I'm just really excited about this work. And yesterday morning I was up at 4:45 to go do a meditation live stream that Joe Dispenza was doing. So it's just all this great stuff, and I support people to be their best because they're taking care of everybody else, so I'm taking care of them.
That's great.
I am back.
And so, are you going to be offering this course soon? How does
Yes,
the audience...
I'm. I expect it to go live October 1st, the Vitality Miracle. So I'm very, very excited about it. It will be online. It will be in my
on your website.
On my website, and we're creating and releasing October 1st the Renewed Living Academy that will house everything that we do. So, the idea is to scale. Mostly I've been working with private clients and doing workshops and a lot of speaking and stuff like that. So now it's time to scale and reach more people.
Give out your website for everybody so they can help.
RenewedLivingInc.com. RenewedLivingInc.com, where I totally believe that in order to have an extraordinary life, you have to have extraordinary health. That trumps everything.
Yes, it does. Yes, it
does.
And
I missed you so much, Gail. I missed you so much. I realized I was having a separation anxiety crisis, and it showed up into my equipment. As soon as I heard you were leaving, I just broke down. So I'm back. Elaine, wonderful hearing your voice.
Good hearing your voice. Thank you
and
for inviting me.
Gail said she was going to leave, and I realized that she's been midwifing me at another whole level. So I went into an identity crisis. So I'm coming back now. I'm coming forward.
I couldn't leave when you left, so I stayed.
That's why I realized I created the scenario. I didn't want you to leave, so if I left, you'd have to stay. So it was a brilliant relationship intervention. I had created a relational intervention just then. So I tell people to...
a young Elaine who needs Elaine, a lady who needs Elaine, but needs me too, and she's on the other side of town, and I'm so sorry. I love you, and I love Gloria, and I love you too, Elaine. You need to go. And I love your story so much, and I commend you on everything you're doing, but I do need to... Bye, guys.
Bye, Gail. Have a good day.
I'm speechless right now, Gail. I love you. Enjoy and take care of the business you need to. I'll talk to you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, so that was one relational strategy. Here's another one. You're listening to the Vibrant Living Network, where I ask people to burn their self-improvement books. I knew that would be a catchy line. I ask them to burn the books because the truth is there's a beyond the formula response in you that doesn't come from yet another teacher repeating other stuff. There's something that's alive in you that's uncoded. That's who you are and unscripted and beyond the formula. So there's two things I wanted to do. I wanted to bridge this conversation with Dr. Gloria and you, Elaine. And then, two, just because I'm bringing this group of people to Carnegie Hall in 8 months, I wanted you to talk about your experience speaking in unscripted power. I want to just say how unscripted power happened and what unscripted power is. So when I heard about your message, when I heard you say you didn't know what you don't know after the doctor diagnosed you, gave you a death sentence, that you died beyond your intellect, or perhaps you had a new intellect to greet the situation, and you came and you gave this really powerful talk. I wanted you to talk about unscripted power, being in an event that I put together, and what was so miracle, we're going to do the same thing with Carnegie Hall. We have these calls where really we ask each other new questions, and we go beyond all the hype and all the marketing, and we just have questions that we ask each other at the most genuine level of vibrancy. And we have we have some musicians that are applying to be there. So the Carnegie Hall event is really, we're asking people who really want to give this message that they don't even know yet. They're willing to go beyond the known and share this message. And that was so beautiful. None of us rehearsed for doing unscripted power. It was sort of this day where people came from around the country. I just wanted you to just spend a few moments sharing what that was like, and how I facilitate this, is very different. I just facilitate it based on the notion that people have this emanating message that they had when they were two, when they stood up from their heart and wanted to speak. And most of the speaker trainings are very much about rehearsing and kind of, if you will, putting more on. And on vibrant speaking is really about speaking from the movement that's there. It's already there, and once you feel it in your body, you can move with it. It's a very different approach. So I just want you to say a few words. Our spontaneous meeting was in Northampton at the Academy of Music. And I just want you to say a few words about that. And welcome to the program. I'm glad you're here. I love our conversations. I love you.
Thank you. I love being here. And as I said before, you came back.
Thank you.
from being away. That
yeah.
I love being here, and I love the work that you all are doing and sharing and enlarging the scope and legacy of everybody's work. Yeah. Unscripted Power was so cool. First of all, the people that are attracted to that are just have an amazing energy, commitment, vision, insight, and it was really amazing. It was in a beautiful town and in a beautiful venue. And the whole weekend was wonderful. And Glenn, I really, really mostly appreciate that there was a fresh green juice place across the street.
Which we went to.
We went to, and we were going back and forth in between speakers to keep that going. So that's any town that has any small town that has a fresh juice place is a very, very special place.
That place you're talking about is called Haymarket. And Haymarket just started a community program where anybody in town that doesn't have the funds for $3 could have the finest quality community meal there for $3.
Oh, that's
an amazing thing.
Well, I'm not surprised. Surprised. We need more of that.
Yeah.
So, what I loved about Unscripted Power was that it was so genuine, and because it was so genuine, there, you can be places where you're part of people that are speaking, and it's sometimes it's a little one-upsmanship or, it's really interesting.
Yeah, no, I'm digging it.
It's really interesting, and it was nothing like that. I mean, everybody was just like so cool and giving and beautiful. And I'll tell you, one of the huge advantages that came out of it for me, aside from your, really helping me as we spoke, really get crystal clear on the way I wanted to deliver my message. And, it was, I didn't know what I didn't know until I faced cancer. And actually, I'm doing that again at Annie Appleseed Project Conference for breast cancer.
Great.
In February. And she loved the title.
Wonderful.
But however, one of the it's awesome. But one of the huge benefits was that you had a fabulous team and a media team, and I got a copy I got of the video that was made, and and when I saw it for the first time, when I was speaking, I felt like I was, let me just say, like in a zone.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And I think
I felt that way. I felt that way.
But I think that most people felt that way because of the community that was created amongst the speakers rather than being individuals coming. It was greater. And when I saw it, and I got to tell you that I used that video to market my business, and before I will even speak with anybody about becoming a client or investigating what they're going through, they watch that. And so for me, that's been a huge boost as well. But it's great. You just really create a safe place for people to take their wildest, craziest, stretched visions that sometimes you don't talk about, because who else can you talk about these things with? And I think collectively that there was a bigger vibration than any event that I've been to. And I've spoken at quite a few, large events and been in documentaries and all that, but this was a different kind of an energy. That's really it was an energy about vision, and often the energy is about information. And I know you need information to carry your vision out, but I think often the vision has to come first, and I think you really provided that.
Thank you. Well, Gloria, you could see why I feel so much better after talking to Elaine Gibson. Elaine Gibson. Yeah, I want to say I feel much better. I feel like the King Mensch of Amherst right now. Okay, after this, I'm going to be able to go to town. You know, I'm developing this mastery class, Elaine, with Gloria. It's going to be a mastery class in long distance healing from a master, someone who's been doing this, 35 years, been in healing 50 years. And I love what you're saying. I tell you something. You articulated some things in language, and it's so rare. I just love that that's so beautiful that you share that, because everything that I feel in my heart, you sort of sang in language. And so, of course, I say to people, I have no competition. I'm not, just because the truth is we don't. And I just feel like this stuff comes together. I'm going to say to my friends at Mind Valley right now, Michelle, that it's a reality bending thing. It's like it's your faith is your fortune. So I saw that event occur, and then I walked into the event, and it was actually oftentimes your love and caring and who you were, saying you were going to fly. I know your schedule was pretty loaded, and knowing you were going to fly and shifted my whole energy and my heart, and I felt family was coming. And you were family from the moment I spoke to you, and then you continued. And what was funny about it, well, you referred to me, my MC, the girl who came from New Jersey. I thought, God, she's so tough to deal with. But when she stepped off the bus, I fell in love with her. So you had me hang in there past all appearances, and it was really our relational intelligence. And that venue, that stage, and the wonder of the spontaneity and just people being together to really give the talks of their lives. And that's exactly what's going to happen with Carnegie Hall. We got one coming up in Burlington, Vermont, and we got Vibrant New York now. I'm putting one in Brooklyn so I could go hug my son more often. Gloria, you wanted to speak to Elaine, and I wanted to give you two an opportunity to speak again if you haven't spoke. I don't know if you guys have spoken, but what's something that what do you want? Quickly.
Oh, quickly. Was there a question?
Yeah. I'm just curious. Is there anything you wanted to bring up that just struck you when Elaine was talking, or anything in the exchange that you wanted to comment on, or anything? We're going to get Elaine's going to be a regular. She's a regular cast member now. She signed up. She sent her $20,000 application. I certified it last night. She's going to be a regular.
Okay, good, Elaine.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
I love
Congratulations, Elaine.
That you immediately said no to the diagnosis. Immediately. And falling on your knees was a really beautiful act. So you have a magic carpet now, and that can take you anywhere. And I think that the fact that you immediately rejected that diagnosis and their gloom for the future was incredible and vastly important. So perhaps people need to act more intuitively, not to give it so much thought. What will happen if I reject this diagnosis? No. Just go for it. Reject it. I mean, that's not to say that you're not being responsible, because you did a lot of work, Elaine. It's not as if this happened just by snapping your fingers. But the first step was to reject the traditional kind of diagnosis and the traditional thoughts about the future. So I think that's really important. Again, as a healer, I do my best to really be aware of an individual's needs. And I'm going to say this, which might sound a little egotistical, but I am aware that I never want to put anybody into jeopardy. So if someone calls me and it's above my skill set or my healing ability, I do ask them to see a physician. So a number of years ago, there was a woman in her 90s who had chest pain, and I had been treating her, and I didn't like the way it was resolving. And I said, you must get a good diagnosis before I will continue. And as it turned out, she cracked a rib. And it was very important that we knew that she cracked a rib, and that's what was interfering with her breathing. So there's certain precautions that I personally, as a healer, will take when I have this sense that, something else is going on beyond what I can address. So yesterday I had an incredible call from a woman in Mallorca. She's having surgery today, and it's a little difficult with telephone tag and people who are abroad, but we managed to spend a good half hour together, and I was able to zero in on some of her issues apart from the surgery that she was going to have on the femur today, because as it turned out, the femur was not of her the major concern. She was in incredible pain from a bed ulcer, and I told her that I'm usually pretty good with bed ulcers. So even though you're going to have surgery tomorrow, let me start with the bed ulcer and have this energy move through your body so that it will affect the surgery. But in the meantime, perhaps I will be able to help you with your pain level and the ulcer. So a lot of it is intuitive. I have learned to trust myself. Sometimes I will withhold information. I rarely will tell somebody something that I see if I don't believe I can correct it. All right, so that's a big point. And that, in a way, is giving hope. So I can see something that I know is correctable in my heart of hearts.
Give out your website. Give out your website, and then quickly, Elaine, give out your website. I want you to always come around, Elaine.
Here we go. My website.
Go ahead.
Gloria, KAYE.com.
Go ahead, Elaine.
I did.
Elaine Gibson, family member.
Elaine Gibson,
family member. Much love. Appreciate you both deeply. I'll be with you guys again here on the Vibrant Living Network and the upcoming Vibrant Food Network. I'm Glenn Brooks, your life precious. Enjoying. Thank you deeply. I love you both.
Thank you.